If you are over 40 years old, you are positioned perfectly for entrepreneurship. So if you've been thinking to yourself for the last 5, 10, 20 years, your entire life, man, it would be so awesome to become a millionaire entrepreneur. Well, guess what? I have got 10 things that I'm going to be going over with you guys today to give you the confidence that you need if you're over 40 years old to believe in yourself to become an entrepreneur. And I'm going to tell you exactly why you're positioned perfectly right this second. Now, before I get into this list, which I've written down right here, so my eyes are going to wander down because I don't have this memorized. I'm not that type of a YouTuber, at least not on this channel. Before I get into it, I want to talk to you guys about something that just kind of irks me a little bit. We got these 19, 20, 21-year-old kids who have figured out how to use Instagram to make millions of dollars, right? We've all seen them. I know who they are. I hired a coach who's 21 years old, paid him $36,000 to teach me how to create a mastermind. And guess what? I did it, and I made like $150,000 off of the knowledge that I gained from him. So there are kids who are out there who are doing this. But the thing that they know that you don't yet, if you're not quite on your journey, or maybe you're making six figures or whatever, you just haven't quite got to that seven figures. The thing that they know that you don't is found in this list. But one of the biggest things that they have figured out that you probably haven't quite figured out yet is being bold. It's being bold, confidence, and that's actually number 2 on my list. But let's just get into it. I want to get started on this so that way I don't keep spoiling my own things. So here we go. I've got 10 things on this list, 10 reasons why you will make a better and more successful entrepreneur and human with money than a lot of these youngins will, okay? So number 1 is when you're in your 40s, you kind of stop caring about what other people think, right? When I was in my 20s, I remember getting out of high school where I was working at a restaurant, met my wife, we got married, and everything was a competition. Everybody's like trying to get attention. Everybody's trying to have a job that they're making 6 figures or making $100,000. I remember working at a restaurant with this girl, and she's like, yeah, my husband made 10 last month. I'm like, oh my gosh, why do we have to deal with this? When you get into your late 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond, you really just stop caring at all. And there's a benefit to stop caring. There's a benefit to just being able to say whatever you want. It's boldness, it's confidence. It allows you to speak your mind more clearly, and it commands more respect. When we kind of tiptoe around things and we're afraid to offend, then it puts us in a box that's harder to expand ourselves. It just creates restriction, and it makes it harder to expand and to grow. One of my favorite quotes is by Dan Kennedy, and he says, if you're not offending someone by lunch every day, you're not marketing hard enough. When I heard that quote 6 years ago, it absolutely changed my life, because I used to be the type of person who was afraid to offend people. And so I would be really careful about the things that I talked about online and the way that I said things and the boldness that I had, because I was afraid of offending. And then I was just like, hey, I'm going to give myself permission to just be authentically me, an authentic human being who is ready to grow a successful business. And that's when the doors opened up, and that's when we really started to drive an income. So I need to move on because we're already 4 minutes into this and I've only got 1 done. Number 2 is confidence. Stopping caring and confidence, they kind of go hand in hand, but confidence comes from knowing who you are. Knowing what you like, what you don't like, being confident enough to say that, and being confident enough to walk into a room and not be intimidated by anybody. These young buck entrepreneurs, they don't get intimidated because it's like they got a switch flip. And that's kind of a benefit that this generation has, this young generation has, is everybody's the main character. They have that main character complex, and it makes them feel like no one is more important than them. And that's actually a really cool skill to develop. And this is something I'm trying to instill in my children too. Is like, okay, yes, you should respect your elders, but do I need to respect titles? I don't know. I mean, if somebody's a doctor, do I just automatically give them respect, even though they might just be a pill prescriber? In my opinion, no. Like that doesn't command respect. What about teachers? Or yeah, I mean we're gonna get into some sticky situations here, but there are definitely certain people that I respect. But I treat every human the same. And I think that that's the point with confidence, is that you can walk up to a human no matter what level you think that they're at, and there isn't a pecking order. You're on the same level. And that's different from when I was a kid. When I was a kid, it was always like there were levels. There's a totem pole. And however you feel about yourself, or whatever you feel like that socioeconomic statuses that you're at, determines where you fall in that totem pole. And nowadays, that doesn't really apply anymore. And I think it's kind of cool. So anyway, confidence. Be more confident. Thing on? Yeah, okay, good. Number 3, when you're in your 40s, you have a little bit stronger of a financial foundation. Meaning you've got some savings, you've got a 401k, you've got a Roth IRA. Did you know that you can self-direct your Roth IRA into like business investments? You can actually do really cool stuff with them. I'm not a financial advisor anymore, used to be. But there are some really cool things you can do with self-directed Roth IRAs. If you want more information on that, you can talk to my guy, Matt Sorensen. He's an awesome financial YouTuber. You have a stronger financial foundation. You also know how to save. You know how to assess risk. You know how to not jump into things without really doing due diligence. And so it makes you more wise when it comes to financial decisions. You can take a look at opportunity and really assess if it's something that you want to absorb or if it's something you want to avoid. But you have built more financial intelligence when you're in your late 30s and 40s, or at least most people have. If you don't feel like you have, then there's probably, check out Dave Ramsey. Number 4, emotional grounding. Emotional grounding. When I was in my early 20s, I made an investment into a stock called James River Coal at the advisement of my stockbroker at the time. I don't remember his name, but he told me to purchase some of the stock. He's like, it's going to go up. Trust me. I bought it at $9 and it went up to 10. And every day I was messaging him. I was like, is this going to keep going up? What's going to happen? It goes up to 11. And I keep messaging him, and then it goes down to 10.50, and I'm messaging him, I'm like, maybe we should sell. He's like, hold on. And ultimately, I pulled the trigger on a sell at about $10.50 a share. I had $10,000 into it. And 6 months later, it jumps up to $60 a share. Now, the stock is completely gone now. Had I had listened to him and held on, while he said hold on, I would have 6 times my investment. Yeah, but I didn't, because I didn't have emotional grounding. I was all over the place. And I refused to listen. I just got like all worked up and anxious and worried about my financial investments rather than listening to the pro. When you're in your 30s and 40s and 50s, you gain more control over your emotion. You realize that worst case scenario generally never happens. It generally never is the absolute worst that it possibly could be. You generally don't ever lose everything. Now, that's generals. Some people do. And I'm sorry if that's you. But you have more emotional grounding, so it's easier again for you to have wisdom and to make better decisions. Number 5, you have a better network when you're in your 30s and 40s. You have built trust. You have built friendships. You've built relationships with other people who have money, who have knowledge, who have ideas, who have clout, who have connections. It's much easier for us to pick up the phone to one of our friends and say, hey, do you know anybody who is in this field, who is knowledgeable in this field? And be like, yeah, I do. Actually, this guy made $10 million. Everybody knows somebody. And as we get older, we meet more people who are more established. And those are better connections for business. It's easier for us to meet and connect with people who are more successful. Number 6, we have better work ethics in our 30s, 40s, 50s because we've been working a lot longer. And we're also not under the illusion that there is an easy button anymore. I remember for the first 10 years of my working life, from like 18 to 28, I just was all over the place. I was chasing titles, worked at Albertsons, and I was like, hey, what does it take to become a manager? I was making like $5.40 an hour. When I get to be a manager, I'm going to make $7.40 an hour. Then that's going to be high roller. But that was kind of like, you're chasing the wrong things. And then I remember I left Albertsons, I was working for Albertsons, left Albertsons, and I got sold on an ad that was like, it was like, want to make money while eating Cheetos and sitting on the couch? And I was like, I do. Let me call on this ad. And it ended up being a vacuum salesman job. And I tried selling vacuums for like one day, and then I realized like, oh yeah, this is not my thing. It's not going to happen. There are no easy buttons. And when we realize that in our mid to late 20s, and we start really just grinding and working, then we learn how to have that better work ethic. And the better work ethic is what will allow us to do the hard things, work the odd hours, do what we need to do in order to grow the side hustle, the business that we're trying to create. Number 7, we just have more life experience, more stories to draw from. When I get into sales, somebody was asking me about sales the other day. When I do sales, I ask questions, I tell stories, and I build empathy. I build a relationship. In my experiences that I have gained, the knowledge and the wisdom that I've gained through my experiences, that is what is connecting to the person. That is what builds that empathy bridge and gets them to pay attention and trust what I'm saying, because I have more knowledge. When I talk to these kids who are making millions of dollars in their early 20s, they don't have a whole lot of experience. They have really good skills at closing, high pressure, and they're just really good at closing, but they don't have a whole lot of experience and wisdom to draw from. And I'll tell you what, like, there have been a couple of times where I've been on sales calls and I've closed with them, or I haven't closed with them because they haven't built that connection, because they don't have the experience. You have the experience. You have the stories. 40-year-old folks, people in your 40s, this is your time. It's your calling. I'm telling you right now. All right, number 8, priorities. We've got our priorities straight. You know, I've gotten swept away in the the guys, who are driving the Lambos and wearing the Rolex and stuff like that. I've been swept away by that stuff before. But I always come back to this feeling that I cannot relate to that. I don't relate to the single young man who's shirtless on a yacht, drinking his whatever, and hanging out with a bunch of women and just spending money on all sorts of, luxuries and things like that. I don't relate to that. That's not me. I relate to the person who woke up at 4 a.m. to a kid coughing and is getting cereal ready, and then I go to work for 12 hours, and then I do my side hustle, and I'm building the dream business on the side while raising a family. That's who I relate to. We also have our priorities straight. I don't want that other life. I want this life, and I want to maximize this life. And when we have our priorities front and center, when that's our why, when our why is to raise our family, raise our kids, take care of our spouses, and maybe even pay our parents' mortgage off and take care of our family, it's a much deeper resonating why, and it carries us much further because the stakes are so much greater if we don't achieve what we are setting out to achieve. Priorities, hands down, in your 30s and 40s will make you do things, family priorities, things that are so important that you would die for them. They will make you do things that you never thought you could do. having your priorities straight, having different priorities or priorities that are deeper than just, I want to make a bunch of money. I want to take some photos for the Instagram so people will look at me and compliment my hairstyle. You know, my hair is kind of on point today. So prioritization. Number 9, patience. Patience. You have more patience when you're older. You can wait a little bit longer. You can grind a little bit longer. You can work a little bit harder. And number 10, that was kind of a short one, but everybody knows what patience is. You have patience. You know what I mean? You got patience. Number 10, negotiation skills. This is one of those things that's like, it's more important than we think. We've been taken for a ride a time or two in our life by the time we're in our 40s. We know what it feels like when someone is trying to take advantage of us. Holy crap, speaking of getting taken advantage of. Oh man, this is a digression, but it's a freaking funny story. Yeah, for everybody else except for me. I felt like an idiot. But it is what it is. We from our primary YouTube channel, the Scott and Camber YouTube channel, the one that's big, every once in a while we'll still get like a brand deal. And I got a couple brand deals last year that were for e-bikes. And I was like, yeah, cool, I want an e-bike. So I get 2 e-bikes in exchange for making a video. And I realized, I rode them around like 3-4 times, and I realized like, oh, my family doesn't ride these and I'm the only one who does. And there is no place that's close that I can go ride an e-bike. So anyway, I was like, I'm going to sell these. And so the first place I think about selling them is Facebook Marketplace, but I'm the type of guy who's just like, it's not worth my time. It's not worth my time or energy to go down, clean up these bikes, take pictures of them, post them, deal with all the stupid comments and the stupid messages. It seemed like a waste of time. As you guys saw my community post maybe the other day, maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't. I'm a little bit of an introvert when it comes to like wanting to deal with people that way. I have to like rev myself up and get ready to have communication. That's what makes me pretty good as a YouTuber, is I can just have a conversation with this little dot right there. And I know you guys are on the other side, but it just makes it easier. So anyway, I decided I'm gonna go take them to the pawn shop. And I did some investigating as to how much these were worth. One was worth about $1,300. The other one was probably about $700. And I was like, okay, they're going to give me conservatively 50% of the value of them, so they have some markup. So I was planning on getting, $700 to $1,000. Well, I tell the guy that. He's like, how much you want for them? I was like, well, probably 700 to 1,000. And he's like, I'll give you 400. I had him out of the car all put together. That's the other thing. He made me take him out of the car, put them all together, bring them inside so he could take a look at them. And he like knowing if I do that, it's less likely that I'm going to take the bikes back. And I get him in there. He says 400, and I'm like, dude, these are worth more. And he's like, yeah, I did some research. It's going to be hard to flip them. I'll give you 400. And I was like, I'll take it. I didn't want to take it home. I didn't want to take them home. I felt so stupid afterwards. Still have some like regret about that one, because I probably could have made another $600 off them, but it was worth it for me to not have to deal with Facebook Messenger. It was worth it for me to not have to put them back into my car and take them home and then store them in my garage, taking up so much space in the garage for another year while I tried to figure out how to get rid of them. So anyway, it's a luxury, I guess, that I can afford in the life that I live right now, but at the same time, still felt kind of stupid. We have better negotiation skills, my friends. That's something that comes when you're in your late 30s and 40s, because you know how to avoid situations like I got myself into, because we have dealt with dickering. We've dealt with people who have tried to wheel and deal and nickel and dime us and rip us off and all sorts of things. And so we know how to get around that a little bit better, for the most part, aside from me. All right. If you're over 40, you need to start yourself a business. All right. Now, that's not like a demand. You can decide. You're a big person. You're an adult. You can decide if that's for you or not. I'm just trying to give you some reasons why you should. Us 40-year-old folks, we need to stick together. We need to support each other. We need to uplift each other. We need to encourage each other. We need more people like us who are running businesses in the world, small businesses in the world, because we got our crap together. And rather than having these Lambo driving, Rolex wearing, puffy hair, little kids doing all of the business, we should be doing it so that way we can give small businesses, entrepreneurs, a good name again. All right. You guys take care. Thanks so much for watching. See you on the next one. Bye.